Hey everyone, this is Fabio and welcome back. And this time we're going to do a new video, something that I haven't done in a while. And hopefully the light isn't too awful. I'm in a different section of my flat because we're doing some renovations. But we have like a big window here and no way to cover it, so I have all this light coming into my face. So as I say, hopefully it's not too awful, but there's nothing I can do. So today, let's talk about gaming session, shall we? More specifically, I'm going to share some of my most memorable gaming session that I have throughout the years, and which had a sort of impact on me for different reasons, primarily because they were the funniest, I would say. They were the ones that I enjoyed the most, but one of these is the one we had the biggest long-term impact on me. And most of them are quite dated in a way, because lately gaming has been a more individual things to me, because I play JRPGs on my own whenever I had the time, so nothing too interesting, to be honest. But throughout the years, I have experienced certain games in certain way that made them even better of what they were, for various reasons, primarily because you play with some friends, or the occasion was particularly fun or engaging. As I said, various things. So I got my water filled with vitamin C, delicious, orangey. So not as fancy as beer, but it's just 3 p.m. here. Not time for beer. Let's start with the oldest memory that I have. And that is the first time that I played Phantasy Star 2. As I told multiple times, Phantasy Star 2 is the first JRPG I ever experienced and ever played. And I had no idea what was going to happen to me, because I always enjoyed the concept of the role-playing games. I experienced it primarily through Choose Your Own Adventure books, and I love those. And once I learned that you can actually have those experiences in the format of video games, I was very excited to try those. However, my first experience, as you well know, was with the Ultima games, and that did not work at all for me. So it's funny to think that my first experience with a video game RPG was with Western RPGs, and it was totally negative. I really didn't like neither Ultima 6 nor Ultima 8, which are the two that I played. Did not like anything about those games. Maybe if I played them now, I would appreciate them for what they are, but back then I wasn't ready for those kind of Western RPGs. So at one point, and we're talking about, I was probably in elementary school still. So at one point, a friend of mine, because you have to understand the setting here, myself included, but all of my friends, we were Nintendo fanboys. We all had NESs, if that's even a word. But at one point, we were getting all hyped up for next generation because we loved the NES so much. We all wanted the Super Nintendo. Like, oh my god, the SNES. One of those friends, however, apparently he wasn't a friend. I mean, what can you do? Decided to betray Nintendo and move to Sega. We were speechless. We were like, how dare you? How can you do this to us? To us, your friends. Betray Nintendo. I mean, I have nothing to say to you.
Mischievous and deceitful, chicanerous and deplorable.
But the truth is, I mean, at one point I went to his house, I remember, and he showed me the Sega Genesis, or Master System, as it was called here in Europe. And it was actually a lot of fun. I really liked it. After a while, I was like, yeah, I was wrong, sorry. We played Sonic, it was amazing. I think he had another game, and then the thing is, he rented a certain game called Phantasy Star 2. I was like, oh, what is this? It looks interesting. By looking at the back or something. I was like, I haven't tried it yet. I think it's a sort of RPG or sort. I was like, oh, it's one of those. I was like, oh, Jesus, it's gonna be like Ultima. It's not going well, but I can be rude, so yeah, sure, let's try it. And I mean, it started all well. I mean, with the title screen, when you see Phantasy Star 2, when you see the two goddesses, I guess, with the planets fading in from the darkness. This is interesting. It's like the prologue and everything. You're moving around the town. We didn't really know what to do. It's like, oh, this is not very exciting. But all of a sudden, like we managed to went out of the town, and all of a sudden we are into the world map section of the game, which has an amazing music, which still holds up. I love that music. I was like, wow, this is a really catchy tune. And we started moving, and I was like, both of us were actually speechless by the color template of the Genesis. Like, look at this, it's gorgeous colors, all these pastel-y almost. And we start walking, all of a sudden we go into battle, of course. We start battling in a turn-based RPG, and for some reason it clicked with me. And it's hard to imagine. And the funny thing is, we played the game for just a couple of hours or something. We really enjoyed it, even though for us, it was stupidly hard. I mean, Phantasy Star 2 is a hard game, especially like it's old school JRPG, old school. I mean, you fight every 2 seconds, it's very slow, you don't know where you're supposed to go, you don't know what you're supposed to do unless you talk with everyone. One of the cryptic bullshit things of that game that I loved, because now I know, so I know what to do, but back then I had no idea, was like how to recruit party members. We have no idea, of course, we're just the 2 of us. We explored this part of the world. I remember we reached the first dungeon of the game, Shure, and the game kicked our asses like relentlessly. It was brutal. It was like, Jesus, I was supposed to win at this game. It's so hard. Because we didn't understand, for example, I mean, we noticed and we learned that one of the 2 party members, Nai, she wasn't equipped with anything. So it's like, oh, you can actually equip her with something. That's brilliant. So at least we were able to defend ourselves somehow. Then, one thing in Phantasy Star, I mean, the spells have this all weird name, almost like Persona in a way. Like, oh, if only I can remember some of them. Oh, I can't now, but it's not that the healing spell, it's called heal, like in any other game, basically. No. It's, oh, if only I can remember, damn it, because I remember it has a weird name. But anyways, it's kind of like Medea in Persona. It's like, how are you supposed to know this is heal? So, but the best thing of all, it's how to recruit party member. Because I say, like, if you don't have the 3rd party member, by the time you get to the first dungeon, you're screwed. Because dungeons in Phantasy Star 2 are super hard, really confusing, and they're huge. So there's no way you can barely make it with 3 party members, let alone 2. So, but the thing in that game is that you have to go, whenever you manage to find a town, you explore the town, you have to go back to your own town, go back to your house, and then this guy will knock in the door and say, hey, I want to join your party. And then you have a new party member. How was I supposed to know? It was so cryptic in a way. Maybe they tell us at the beginning of the game, but obviously we didn't pay attention. But as I say, the incredible thing is this was just a 2.5 hour, something like that, gaming session. Say, okay, let's move to something else that we can play together. Because obviously this was a JRPG that you're supposed to play on your own. I mean, maybe with someone watching, but it's not very fun. I mean, we had a lot of fun because we were yelling at the TV, gave us suggestions, tried to understand how to play this fucking thing. And it was great. But it was just 2.5 hours or something like that. And to think that this little experience is the snowball, the starting the avalanche that will become my passion for JRPGs. That's how it started. It's brilliant to think of it. Something this simple became what is now my favorite genre in video gaming. It's basically almost the entirety of my time in video gaming. It's spent playing JRPGs. I love it. Let's move to the next session, which is completely different. By this point, I was in middle school, I think. And if there's a genre in gaming that I do not like, is driving game. I despise driving games. The only thing I hate the most are stupid puzzle games such as Tetris, Columns. Fuck those. I hate those games. Driving games, almost as much. There are some exceptions. I enjoy Mario Kart. I really like the Wipeout games for some reason. I even have one on the PlayStation 1, and it's all the fun because I think they have an amazing sense of speed, a good soundtrack, and all that fun stuff. But this experience and session concern a game that I never enjoyed, even though they're uber popular for some reason, and it's the Gran Turismo series. We're talking about the first one on PS1. And excuse me, and a friend of mine had this game among others, and I say, why are we even playing this with all the games you have? It's like, oh, it's very good, it's very good. It's like, it's a driving game, what's fun about it? You're driving cars. But there was a moment, and we play occasionally, it was like, yeah, it's alright, but you're driving cars, there's nothing exciting about it. So, but at one time we had an amazing race, and the fact is, I was never good at those games because I didn't care about them. I never made too much of an effort. So I remember at one point we had a race, and the idea of this was, okay, both of us are going to pick crappy cars. And I picked probably the worst one, I think it was the worst one, or one of the worst in the first Gran Turismo, which was the Nissan Primera. I mean, this thing, I drove that thing. And the problem is that I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 tracks for this race, and my friend already completed, basically was missing one final track, and I was so far behind because I was completely like missing all the turns. I was driving so badly because I had this shitty car, and I was hating myself for this. I was like, oh my god, this is the worst thing ever. So for whatever reason, I said, okay, let's make a deal. Can you just wait for me so we can have a last decent track before we change the game, I hope. For whatever reason, he agreed, and he stopped in the middle of the road, and I was like, okay, just wait for you, just complete the track you're missing, and then we'll finish together. So, for whatever reason, that really increased my motivation. So, okay, I'm gonna do this. So I went into the zone, and I start driving my Nissan Primera like a champ. I was like Michael Schumacher, basically, with this thing. I was driving perfectly, all the curves, beautifully. Like, never play this well in a driving game. But the best thing is, his friend of mine, I can see his car in the distance waiting for me. Technically was supposed to stop. I guess you can imagine what's coming next. I didn't stop, of course. I just passed through it, like in front of him so fast. I was like, you bastard, you son of a bitch, you said you wait for me. I was like, see ya, buddy, I'll see you at the finish line. And the best thing is, it was almost going to reach me, but luckily I won at the end. But at the end, it was like you son of a bitch. It was amazing the way like he jumped. He was just waiting for me. He's like, yo, what are you doing? I was like, see ya. So that was my experience with Gran Turismo. The next one also is very interesting because it concerns an entire phase of my gaming life, which you might call like the Blizzard phase. Because once I discovered Diablo on PC, it's like, oh my god, there's no coming back from this. A lot of fun, loved it, but I didn't like the online aspect of Diablo 1 because it was very PvP focused. Like players were, like always in these sort of games, assholes. Of course, they constantly attack you and they can steal your equipment in that game. So very annoying. So I played the game 90% by myself and finished it. Then Diablo 2 came out, and whew, I mean, but these specific sessions concern 3 different games: Diablo 2, StarCraft, the first one, and Warcraft 3, because I never got into the next phase of Blizzard games. So I never played Diablo 3, never got into StarCraft 2, never cared about that, and never ever touched World of Warcraft, never, zero interest for that. But with these 3 other games, I spent hundreds of hours with all of them. And the thing, it concerns 2 friends of mine. One in particular was basically my best friend up until, one of my best friends up until middle school and the first half of high school. And the thing is, we played Diablo 2 together constantly. Both of us spent hundreds of hours playing Diablo 2. And there was one of his classmates also wanted to join us because they said, "Oh, you guys having so much fun. I want to be part of that too." Like, yeah, sure, come along. You can tell he didn't really like Diablo 2, the formula, also because we were so much into it, and we didn't really want to wait for him because it was really slowing us down. Because you have to start from level 1. What a pain waiting for this third wheeler. On the other hand, though, this guy was obsessed with StarCraft. And all three of us basically discovered Warcraft 3 together. The thing is, very often during school weeks, we went to each other's houses, we brought our own PCs in order to play these three games from different rooms, because we either play cooperative or a lot of times competitive, especially like with strategy games, are always competitive. With Diablo 2, for the most part, it was cooperative, because that's how the game truly shines to me. So, but I remember like we had epic sessions, particularly like with Diablo 2. I remember like I always have these memories of being at my friend's house, just the two of us, maybe his parents and sisters and all of that, but we were constantly playing Diablo 2 up until, I don't know, 3, 4 in the morning, and we were just with headphones, we chatted, and sometimes we do some PvP, but for the most part we're just cooperative to find like the precious rare stuff and all of that. Amazing, amazing. With StarCraft, I remember we had some of these very intense one against the other type of matches, and they went on for hours because we're just like teasing each other with some small skirmishes here and there, and then you can see like these huge armies fighting, and just like our computers were barely able to handle all these hundreds of units, both in Warcraft and StarCraft. But the thing is, that's when I discovered with these games, because as I said, like with Diablo 1, not so much. I tried a couple of times, I didn't like it. But when I truly discovered the Battle.net thing was with Diablo 2 and StarCraft and Warcraft, and it was so much fun. The thing is, they were so addictive, Diablo in particular. And that's the game that I played the most in my life, actually, Diablo 2. As I said, like I spent at least 200 hours with that individual game, if not more, probably. Because like I tried all the characters, I leveled them up like crazy, reached the higher difficulty with all of that, and then you start playing the secret cow level over and over and over and over again. Which by that point at one point I was sick and tired of the game. So that's everything I do, just rinse and repeat this stupid secret cow level. So, but I remember for at least a whole year, if not more, everything regarding video games to me was Diablo 2, and occasionally StarCraft and Warcraft. But with Warcraft was toward the tail end of this phase of my life. But I remember like I played the whole campaign, it was a lot of fun. I played the game online, a lot of fun as well. I like Warcraft 3 more than StarCraft, for example. But yeah, there was a lot of fun, and I say very, very addictive. The next two entries, they concern a genre of games which I usually don't talk about, and that is sports games of all things. But I have two, let's say, one of the funniest and most bonker session of my life with a sports game. And also plenty of great sessions with my best friend playing sports games. Because the thing is, I don't hate sports game, but I don't really care about them. So I never, with some exception, the only sports game that I own is International Superstar Soccer Deluxe on the Super Nintendo, which is brilliant. The best sports game, soccer game, because that's also the thing. As you know, I'm Italian. In Italy, if you say sports game, that equals football, soccer. So we're talking about football, soccer here. So the best football game of all time, we all know it's Nintendo World Cup on the NES. That game is a treasure. It's one of the funniest sports games you ever play. My best friend had it. We had some epic matches there. The music was brilliant. It has the same the graphics from River City Ransom. So there was this bulky players just shouldering each other, and you can kill some of the weaker teams. Like the classic thing, like at the end of the game, you always face West Germany, and if you face with you play against them with a weaker team, you couldn't tackle them with your shoulders. Your players would just explode basically and pass out for a while. It was amazing. But we're not talking about this, even though it's hard not to talk about this amazing game. We were talking about those more generic, like FIFA, ISPRO kind of things. And as I said, like I don't care about sports. At the same time, my best friend, like he doesn't care at all about JRPGs, anime, all this good stuff. So again, we have very different tastes, and yet we're best friends since ever, basically. But for some reason, I think that sports game, and I don't know about other sports, but football games, they are a lot of fun when you play, like, as they're supposed to be played, couch co-op. Because we're just goofing around, drinking beers, having fun, make fun of each other, trying to do something at these games. That was amazing, so much fun. We had plenty of times that we spent hours and hours playing FIFA. For example, once we played the World Cup with I think it was Panama or something like that, but it was on an easy difficulty, and we won the World Cup with Panama. So say, oh, well, of course. Then we tried with the normal difficulty, and the game whooped our asses. So I said, oh, okay, that makes more sense. Then I remember another time, it was amazing, and again, we were trying the World Cup again. We had like we picked our team randomly, and we ended up playing as Denmark. So it's like, all right, we're screwed. In fact, we lost all the matches we played, and were immediately eliminated from the World Cup. But when we lost badly, like 4-0, 3-0, 5-0, one after the other. Because the thing is, playing the two of us together, I think it's a bit harder than playing by yourself against the computer. Because the thing is, by that point, we also decided that we're always going to play at the higher difficulty to make it more challenging for whatever reason. And we had so much fun doing that. But it was so frustrating because we never won since that moment. We never managed to beat the computer. Because one of the main reasons, it was super hard for us to score. But at one point, we were playing the last game. We're already out of the cup. It's like, we have to win at least one. This is not possible. So, we were playing Denmark against something else, I don't remember. And by the end of the first half of the game, we're still 0-0. But at that point, we score our first goal. Basically, my friend kicked the corner kick, and I don't know what I pressed. I don't know what happened, but I was able to do one of those goals. Like I saw my player jumping and doing one of those boom acrobatic things, and I scored. I was like, "Holy fuck! What just happened?" Like he couldn't believe. He was laughing. Like, "What did you just do?" So. And then the second half of the game is like, we're going to win this. We took like 4 goals or something. It's like, oh my God, what? They should have just let us win. We did the best goal of all time. But also, like, I remember that once we tried to do an entire, like, season of, like, the British Championship with 2 separate teams. That went on forever, but we had so much time because each of us picked a team. By this point, I think the PS3 was already out. But again, like so much fun playing soccer game. Because again, if you play with the right people, they can be fun game actually. Even if for me, and I don't care about soccer games. But the next one is the true legendary one. Basically, by this point, I was in the last year of high school. Because in Italy, high school lasts 5 years. And by this point, the peculiar thing about my high school career is that my class was always weird in the sense that basically 85% of the class was made by girls and the rest were us boys, in the sense that we're usually between 7 and 5 of us and 17 to 20 girls basically. It sounds nice, and it was for the most part, but at times it was a bit annoying, to be honest. But the thing is, last year of high school, we had to decide, basically, it was up to us to decide what to do for our final school trip. Very cool, very nice. So after long discussions, it was decided that we're going to go to Prague. Excellent. Beautiful city, um, lovely art, culture, history. Who the fuck cares about that? We're gonna have so much fun. We're gonna drink beer all the time and everything else. Yes, can't wait for that. Then at that point, our class was just 5 guys, including myself. So it was the 5 of us after school into a bar, and we was like, we have to decide what to do during this because who the fuck cares about all the rest? And one of us proposed, hey, I can bring my PS2 because that was the big boy in town, the PS2. And we just need to buy maybe a memory card and some controllers and some cables, something like that, so we can bring the thing with us and play it while we're in the hotel. It sounds like a good plan. Because the thing is, I'm from northwest Italy. We drive all the way to Prague by bus, and it took an eternity. Because at first, like, this bus trip can be fun. You make a lot of mess. It's all yelling, but after hours and hours and hours on the bus, we were exhausted, and to the point that no one was talking by the end because there was nothing else to say. It was so exhausting. But the thing in Prague was funny because there were so few of us. The teachers divided us boys into 2 rooms. There were like 3 of us, including myself, in one, and 2 more into another room. And we were not even on purpose. There was like my room, which were the drunken ones, because basically we drank so much beer while we were in Prague, of course, to the point we had like a huge window on our hotel room, and it was all covered, basically empty beer bottles. So many we drank. It was crazy. And the other was basically the drug dealer's room, because these 2 guys brought so much smoke with them. It was ridiculous because they were constantly smoking joints, basically, because of course they did. We were in high school, to the point that you can see smoke coming out from the door. I was like, oh my, what are you fucking doing? Because the best part is, I mean, our room was here, their rooms were there, and here there were the teachers, because of course that's where they decided to stay. And it's like, if any shenanigans going to happen, it's going to be hell to pay. So, but we managed in a way. And the best thing is, every night, because there was nothing to do, because after dinner, back to your rooms. And we just played the PS2, and which meant the only game we had was FIFA. All the time, for hours. We were like drinking beers, everyone's like smoking joints. It was insane. Like the most bonkers FIFA like match I remember. I remember something. For example, one of my friends, like, he was so confused by all the joints he smoked that his gameplay style was like, he picked one player and he started running around the field with just this guy going around in circles. It was managing like insane dribblings and all of that, but he couldn't do anything because he didn't even know on what planet he was in. Just fantastic. And we were yelling, drinking, smoking, everything. Like, a lot of people wanted to come in because we were having so much fun. So it was just like one of the most legendary, insane gaming session. And I remember, like, the next morning, the teacher was like, "We were so much noise. What was going on?" I was, "No, we were just chatting, and we're just so much into the conversation." Yes. So, another memory. This one is from my earliest part of the high school, but it's so epic. Because I don't know if you remember, many years ago, Johnny Millennium did a video called Skipping School to Play Video Games, basically. And I always liked the idea. There were plenty of great video responses. And I never did one because at the time I didn't even do videos on YouTube. And once I started, that video was already like years old. And there is an expiration date on video responses, but at one point it's like, it was moved over. So, and the funny thing about it, this is the only time in my entire school career that I, on purpose, skipped school to play video games. And it happened because a friend of mine and I were desperate to play Legend of Dragoon, which of course, it's, as you know, it's one of my favorite games of all time, and by that point it was brand new basically. It was during the heydays of the PlayStation 1 RPG era, and we were both playing it. We were both obsessed with that game, and we were both at the last part of the game, where both of us were in disc 4, well into the game. I play already like 90 hours or some ridiculous amount like that. I loved every second of it. So, and we talk about that game constantly, and at one point, like, it would be awesome if we played it together. It's like, but how? So we come up with this brilliant plan, of course. Basically, our normal school day was like, we had some classes, then a small recess, some more classes, a longer recess, and then the rest of the classes before lunchtime and going home for the most part. Occasionally we also had classes in the afternoon, but not that often. So our plan was, with the long recess, we're just skedaddle out of school to go to his place, because he lived very, very close, like 5 minutes by walk. And basically, in my backpack, I had just a couple of things for those first hours. And my PlayStation, my memory card, my DualShock, the cables, and my disc for Legend of Dragoon. Because the plan was to get out of there, go to his place, and play Legend of Dragoon all day. That's what we did. When we arrived at this place, like, oh, we're geniuses. It obviously works perfectly. But basically, that was an amazing JRPG session, because we had like 2 TVs, one after the other. We were both basically at the same section of the game, and we were playing, like grinding, going further with the story, helping each other like with boss battles, or I don't know what to do, what should we do? We need to explore to find the Stardust, or whatever the hell the thing was called in Legend of Dragoon. If you want to be a completionist and all that, we explore the crap of the game. And we played for hours. Excuse me. So much. And it was amazing. But the best thing is, at one point before dinner, I said, well, I have to go back home. So, I called my mom. I was like, okay, I'm going to pick you up. The best part is, we were so confident in our brilliant plan that we didn't realize that we haven't considered a small element. The fact that we were there in the morning and then we weren't there anymore, but we didn't explain, we didn't show any thing that like, oh yes, Fabrizio has to go out, blah blah blah, signed by your parents. Nothing, we just disappeared. So of course the school called home, obviously. So basically I was just like playing normal. It's like, hi mom, how are you doing? Oh yeah, well, how was school? Oh, you know, same old, nothing special. Really? Because you know that they called at home earlier. That point I started to, you know, cold sweat. Really? That's weird. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? There's no reason for that. I was panicking, of course, because they didn't like cut the crap, because I know you weren't there, you stupid idiot. I was like, I will never do it again, I'm so sorry. Because the thing is, it sounds pathetic. And then the best part is, the following day, my mom, myself, my friend, and his mom were all being summoned by our section's principal. Because my school, there was like one director for the whole thing, and there were 3 different sections for the high schools, with each one had their own principal. So we were summoned there, so they explained, don't do that again, you should not do that. But the thing is, we were terrified, because I'm from one of the last generation, I'll say, that we were still kind of scared of doing stuff like that, because we were afraid of the consequences, which is now not there anymore. I mean, don't do that, don't skip school, of course. But in a way, we cared, even though we had this plan. Oh, we're skipping school with such badasses. So yeah. But at the same time, we're terrified, because when we were getting out of school, we were like, oh, like, no one is seeing us, no one is seeing us. So brilliant. But it was totally worth it to play Legend of Dragoon, one of the best RPGs of all time, in that fashion, with a good friend. We were just like enjoying the game, drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, because that was during my very, very short career as a smoker. We had a blast. It was like totally worth it just to have my mom like that evening just like busting my balls with like, you should not skip school to your stupid video games. It's like, yeah. And in my mind was thinking it was so worth it though. But and this was one of my most legendary gaming session. But no one will beat the last one. And we're going to close with this. I believe that at this point, I was during my first year of university, something like that. I was not in high school anymore. By that point, my console generally was the Xbox, even though by that point, I already experienced everything that the Xbox could offer me. So I was, for the most part, playing PlayStation 1 games because I didn't have a PS2. So basically, together with my brother and two of his friends, we decided to spend a weekend in the mountains, because I explained in an old video. As I said, I come from northwest Italy, which is 1 hour drive from the Alps. So we always went there to ski, but also in summer, Easter, when it was a nice change of pace. So it was the four of us. I don't remember if it was either Easter or winter. I think it was winter though. But the thing is, one of us was my brother's best friend, who's always been very much into gaming. Like, for example, he's the guy who actually gave me for free his PS3 when he bought his PS4 at launch. It's like, I don't care, because he's not really a collector, he's just playing games. It's like, I don't care about the PS3, you can have mine. It's like, you sure, don't mind if I do, so I don't have to have a second job just to pay for one. Because at that point, the PS3 was still quite expensive. Anyways, this guy comes to me because he knows I know my stuff about video games. He's like, you know what? There's a game that I never experienced, and I would love to play it. It's like, oh, which one? It's like Metal Gear Solid. It's like, oh boy. Because from the height of my experience with the series, because that's the only one I played, and I never touched the series again, just because I never had the chance. I really want to go back to Metal Gear. But the first Metal Gear, I played that game so many times, already back then. At that point to say, you know what, I'm gonna bring the PS1 with me. We're gonna play Metal Gear, because I was playing something else by that point, but I still remember most things, where to go, where to find stuff, where to go for the story and all that. So you can experience the game without the hating of playing the game for the first time. So it's gonna be slightly faster. I was like, oh, that's a great idea, let's do it. The thing is, so we arrived then for late afternoon, so we went out for dinner, had pizza, then we went to the pub and all of that, a lot of fun. We're back home. Next day, I remember we started about 3 in the afternoon, something like that, middle of the day, let's say. And we played Metal Gear up until the next morning, basically, non-stop. Again, best gaming experience, best gaming session of my life. It was amazing to play the game like that, because everyone was super into it. Even my brother, he doesn't give a crap about video game. He was really enjoying it. It's like watching a movie almost. And I played 95% of the time, so by the end I was exhausted. But again, totally worth it. Because you can see his best friend was super into it. I was having so much fun because it's Metal Gear Solid, it's a fantastic game. Even my brother was enjoying himself, and this other friend of his, very good friend of his, who was really enjoying. We were all having a blast at the time, but the problem is we kept playing and playing and playing and playing. Because Metal Gear Solid, it's not a very short game. It's not super long, but still it took us some hours to play it. Maybe sometimes I died at boss because I wasn't fresh into the game, so sometimes I didn't remember certain things. I died at some bosses, but it was such an amazing gaming session. I will never forget it. This friend of ours is still mentioning the times, like, do you remember the time you played Metal Gear for all night? Like, yes, I remember it very well, because I remember at one point one of us, like that other friend of my brother, he gave up. It was like 4 in the morning. It's like, no, it was like 2, 3 in the morning. It's like, I'm too tired. Let me know how it finished tomorrow. I need to go to bed. But yes, these were some of my most legendary, for one reason or the others, gaming sessions. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely let me know what are some of your best gaming sessions, either through comments or especially video responses. That would be a lot of fun to hear some of your experiences playing games on some weird occasion with some good friends or with the right group of people. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time, and like always, take care.